Good morning. It is my great pleasure to introduce our special guest this morning. Rick Perry was elected Lieutenant Governor of Texas in 1998. He became governor in 2000. He was raised in Texas. He attended Texas A&M University. In fact, he's the first governor of the state of Texas from Texas A&M University. And speaking of that, Governor, since this is the first time you've been in the state of Georgia since the announcement, we'd like to welcome you to the best football conference in the nation, the SEC. Your welcome at the University of Georgia might not be so cordial next year. Now, we are here at this conference today to talk about policies that will make Georgia one of the leading economies in the country. And we're interested not just in good ideas, but ideas that have been tested in the real world. And I can't think of a better example than the state of Texas. That's why we invited 3 months ago Governor Perry to come to Georgia to talk about the policies they've implemented in Texas that have led to their great economic growth. We've talked this morning about criminal justice reform. Governor Perry and the Texas legislature in 2007 passed sweeping criminal justice reform that saved their taxpayers $2 billion and reduced their crime rate by nearly 10%. We're going to talk about tax reform. Texas, as you know, has a zero personal income tax rate, like our neighbors in Tennessee and Florida. And Governor Perry has consistently fought back attempts for those that wanted to raise an income tax in Texas. And finally, we're going to talk about legal reform. Governor Perry and the Texas legislature have passed reforms in Texas designed to reduce the cost of health care and limit frivolous lawsuits. As you can see, everything we're talking about at this conference today fits right in. So please join me in welcoming from the great state of Texas, Governor Rick Perry.
All right. Kelly, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here with you. Listen, before I go into my prepared remarks this morning, I want to take a moment and congratulate the United States military and our intelligence community and President Obama for sticking with the government's longstanding and aggressive anti-terror policies for getting another key terrorist, international terrorist, I might add, and the death of this American-raised al-Qaeda leader, Anwar al-Awlaki. You think about it, 10 years after our brave men and women of our military and intelligence, they continue to take the fight to those that would do harm to our country, and again, I just salute them. I'm really pleased to be here with you today, and over the next several weeks, I'm going to be laying out a very detailed and important public policy initiatives to get America working again. That is probably the single most important issue that we face as a country. But I want to spend a few moments this morning just updating you on the state of the nation and this critical race for the White House. It's very enjoyable for me to come into Georgia. Kelly, you kind of you busted me a little bit. My wife said, do not go to Georgia and say anything that could be in the least bit controversial. And I was going to promise that I wasn't going to say a word about the Aggies coming into the SEC. But anyway, I do want to commend the Georgia Public Policy Foundation, your president, Kelly McCutcheon, for taking such a proactive role in developing this research-based conservative public policy. Employers know that the promise of temporary tax relief does nothing to relieve the growing regulatory burden of this administration's policies. In 2010, the Obama administration implemented 43 new regulations that cost businesses more than $26 billion. A story came out just this last week that a major American company, the chief executive officer of that company, said he finds it easier to do work in China than in the United States. Now think about that for a moment. When a communist country has less bureaucratic red tape than America, we might just be on the wrong track. The problem we confront today is that Washington is broken. 1 in 6 work-eligible Americans cannot find a job. 45 million Americans are on food stamps. Our credit's been downgraded, and our debt has exploded. It is time for a change. And I'm not talking about the rhetoric of change. I'm talking about a record of change. And I believe I happen to have that record. My home state, since June of 2009, created 40% of the new jobs in America since June of 2009. And I might add, during that period of time, our credit rating actually went up. As governor, I've led on with a few but simple guiding principles. One is don't spend all the money. Have fiscal restraint in how you deal with the issues in your state. Keep your taxes low. Kelly, a personal income tax of 0 is good. Zero is good unless you're talking about job creation. But 0 personal income tax is very good. You keep your regulatory climate fair and predictable, and a legal system that does not allow for oversuing, which in turn helps to truly create real and permanent jobs. In 2003, we were hemorrhaging doctors across the state. People who practice medicine were leaving the state of Texas, or they were leaving those high-risk practices. So we put forward a tort reform that included $250,000 caps on non-economic damages and medical liability suits. And the result of that is that now, some 7+ years later, there are more than 23,000 doctors who are licensed to practice medicine in the state of Texas. Pregnant women have better access to OBGYNs. People in need of trauma care now have better access to neurosurgeons, other specialists. That's what tort reform was really all about how to give better access to the people of my home state. We need to spread lawsuit reform across all economic sectors in this country. And one of the things that we did that I think is most interesting, that could even work at the federal level in those federal courts, is in Texas, in a class action lawsuit, if the plaintiffs are paid in coupons, then we think it only fair and equitable that the lawyers are paid with coupons as well. And just this last session of the legislature, we passed a new loser pay law to further clamp down on those frivolous lawsuits. You know, eliminating the hidden tax that's posed by lawsuit and lawsuit reform is very critical to economic growth. And perhaps nothing could do more to give employers certainty, though, than to stop the mad dash to these federal regulations are having that kill jobs in America today. I'm not sure that there's anything that is more detrimental to job creation and certainly the confidence of the small businessmen and women across this country than the onslaught of regulations that's coming from this administration. And if President Obama is serious, if he is serious about improving the job climate in this country, he will do more than just intervene in a few EPA regulations. What he should do is freeze all proposed federal regulations for 6 months, starting today. If he's really serious about giving the confidence to this country, if the president wants to get America working again, he'll junk this maze of new regulations and the agencies and the programs that have been created under Obamacare. Before I walk off the stage, I want to make you 2 promises. One, My first day in office, when I walk into the Oval Office, I'll take out probably a Sharpie and sign my name to an executive order that will wipe out as much of Obamacare as I can. And number two, every day, I will try to make Washington, D.C. as inconsequential in your life as I can. God bless you, and thank you all for letting me come back.